Thanks for joining us on the Midday News. Let's begin here in Lagos, where the suspended governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has been granted bail of 20 million naira with one surety in like sum after spending 6 weeks in custody of the Department of State Services. Mr. Emefiele earlier pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of illegal possession of firearms and ammunition. The lead defense counsel, Joseph Daudu, applied to move the bail application, but the federal government opposed to the application, labeling Mr. Emefiele a flight risk with capacity to intimidate witnesses. Justice Nicholas Adeyemo of the Federal High Court in Lagos eventually ruled that Godwin Emefiele be released on bail and adjourned the case to 14th of November. Let's get more on this developing story. TVC News correspondent Kemi Fola Adeyemo joins me on the news. Kemi from the Federal High Court. Kemi, thank you so much for joining us. Bring us up to speed with the latest development from the courts as regards Godwin Emefiele's trial. Kemi, let me quickly confirm whether you can hear me.
I can hear you now. Let's take it over.
Great. So bring us up to speed with the latest development from the courts as regards Godwin Emefiele. All right, Kemi, I'll try to see whether you can hear me. What more do we know about the Godwin Emefiele's trial in court?
All right, apologies earlier, Ibrahim. We're trying to get things ready from our end. As you can see, it's a very fluid story. Yes, the CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, has been granted bail just moments ago by the court, Justice Nicholas Adeyemo, after he had pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of alleged illegal gun possession. But while journalists from various media houses are awaiting him to come out and be handed over to the Nigeria Correctional Service from the custody of the DSS, there are set to be new developments. There are set to be new developments on the matter now. We understand that the lawyers for Mr. Emefiele are still in court, trying to get a formal hearing from the court after it had already sat, giving bail to the accused. We understand that the lawyers now want to plead with the judge to grant them audience on allegations that the DSS is planning to re-arrest him again. Now, let me try to bring some context to this new development. That's the CBN governor, over the past 46 days, has been in the custody of the DSS. He was presented in court today to answer to the charges preferred against him by the federal government, and he pleaded not guilty to those charges. His lawyer, Joseph Daudu, a senior advocate of Nigeria, had applied after bail was granted that he be taken away from the custody of the DSS and transferred to the correctional center, the regular correctional center, pending the fulfillment of his bail conditions. And the judge acceded to that request, despite an objection by the federal government's counsel, who said they still wanted him in the DSS custody because they were investigating him on other alleged crimes. But the court nullified that argument and ordered that he be transferred to the correctional center pending the fulfillment of his bail conditions. And so now we are seeing officials from the correctional center as well as officials of the DSS still standing outside the court. So we don't know what is happening. Talking about us journalists, we don't know what is happening. And on account of what we have heard by lawyers for the defendant off camera, who say that they have heard authoritatively that the DSS still insists on taking Mr. Emefiele back into its own custody for other alleged offenses. Ibrahim.
All right, help us understand what the lead defense counsel, Joseph Daudu of the DSS, meant when he said that Godwin Emefiele is a flight risk with the capacity to intimidate witnesses. Do you understand what he was trying to advance there?
Right, Ibrahim. So these were arguments that played out during the hearing of Mr. Emefiele's bail application, but that argument was presented by the Federal Government's Counsel. Of course, the Defense Counsel, which is led by Mr. Joseph Daudu, a senior advocate of Nigeria and former president of the Nigeria Bar Association, had said this is a renowned lawyer, a banker, I should say, that we're talking about. Mr. Emefiele was, of course, when Nigerians are aware, a former suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and he said he cannot be said to be a flight risk. If the court granted, and the court eventually granted, that his passport be deposited here in its registry. But the federal government gave a very strong, vehement objection to the bail application, which was oral, by the way, having not been able to file an affidavit in objection to the bail application. So it was the federal government's arguments that Mr. Emefiele is a flight risk and had the tendency of intimidating its witnesses. But the court didn't buy any of those arguments proffered by the federal government, and instead ordered that Mr. Emefiele be granted bail in the sum of 20 million naira, and he's also to present a surety in like sum, and the surety is also to be one of reputable means whose property must also be located within the jurisdiction of the court. And like I said earlier on, Mr. Emefiele's passport has been ordered to be deposited within the registry of the Federal High Court, and the court added that if he doesn't have a passport, he would have to swear to an affidavit saying that he indeed doesn't have one. The case has now been adjourned to November the 14th for trial to begin formally.
Well, just to put the correct information out there, the lead counsel, the defense counsel, is Joseph Daudu, and then the federal government, just like you said, is the one that is claiming that Emefiele poses a flight risk. So he has the capacity to intimidate witness. Keep close tabs on these for us, Kemi, Fola, Adeyemo, as it continues to emerge and unfold. Thank you.